Hi there, it's Wednesday 13th of April 2022 and I'm here in Marikina City. I should be in Thailand right now enjoying Songkran Festival and also doing my vegan food tour. Unfortunately, I didn't make it to Thailand and that's what I'm going to talk to you about today, so stay with me. Sawadee Pi Mai Thailand! Hello, I'm the Pinay Vegan sharing food from my plate to yours and my vegan lifestyle. I'm also about to share with you my vegan travels, but unfortunately, like I mentioned earlier, I didn't make it to Thailand. However, prior to my planned trip to Thailand, I traveled to Davao City, and do make sure to subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you get updated, especially when I upload that video of my vegan travel tour in Davao City, which I will be uploading in a few days. On the 5th of April, I was meant to leave for Thailand from Manila, that's specifically to Bangkok. Unfortunately, I didn't make it because I was denied to board the flight to Bangkok. And how that happened is what I'm going to talk to you about today.
I booked my flight to Bangkok in January with the hope that restrictions will ease and also that travel will become better because of the pandemic. Because of the pandemic, it's been 2 years that I did not have a leisure trip. My flight was meant to be the 3rd of April. However, last month in March, I have received notifications from the airlines, that's Cebu Pacific, that there are changes with regards to my flight. It was meant to be in the morning or early morning, but not that early. If I'm not mistaken, it was at 7 a.m. or 9 a.m. and it was moved, the hour was moved to 5 a.m. So that was the first change. And then after that, maybe a few weeks after that, I was actually traveling in Davao City. I received another email from Cebu Pacific that there has been changes in my flight, which I actually did not bother looking into in detail because when I saw the email, oh, it's just the same hour. So why are they sending me an email when there's no change at all? The next day, when I wasn't that busy with my travel anymore, I checked the email again and saw that the date was actually changed. So from 3rd of April, it was changed to 5th of April. So that means that will be less travel days for me with regards to my travel in Thailand. So then, because of that change, I had to cancel my booking for the apartment that I have actually reserved for 1 week of my stay in Bangkok after my booking or after having the RT-PCR test and the one-day quarantine. It's actually called the Test and Go program.
For those of you who are not aware, up to this moment, Thailand requires Thailand Pass for you to be able to enter the kingdom. Thailand Pass requires your airfare and the SHA Plus Hotel, which includes the RT-PCR test, the airport transfers, and also the ATK test. And lastly, the Thai insurance, the travel insurance with if I'm not mistaken now, it's from $50,000 to $20,000. That's just the coverage. That's not the price of the insurance. If I'm not mistaken, the one that I got costs 3,000 pesos with the coverage, the $20,000 coverage for the travel and including COVID-19 if you get tested positive of COVID-19. So I got all those. I had everything in place. I have booked everything. I also got my Thailand Pass. And my Thailand Pass actually was dated 3rd of April because before Cebu Pacific even moved or made changes with my flight, I have already applied for the Thailand Pass, which has been approved, and I was meant to enter the Kingdom of Thailand on the 3rd of April. However, I was meant to go on the 5th of April, but it was okay because that Thailand Pass was good to be used until the 6th of April. I was also constantly in contact with the hotel because I asked them whether I had to apply for another Thailand Pass and whether I needed another confirmation for my booking, but the staff of the hotel replied that I just have to tell the authorities that there had been changes in my flight, which they can see anyway in my email. So that's about it for my flight changes, and let's get on to what happened to me at the airport, specifically the Philippine immigration. Since my flight was at 5 a.m., I opted to get ready by 12 midnight on that same day, the 5th of April. And because I'm staying with my friend, I also didn't want to bother her that much. So I started preparing early so that she can also have her rest as early as possible. Then I left for the airport at, if I'm not mistaken, past 1 a.m. and reached the airport before 2 a.m. So I was already on the queue of the check-in counter, but at the check-in counter by 2 a.m. or even before that. I'll show you some clips and some photos here as well as regards to the process of my check-in. It took a long time, though there were very few passengers for the check-in counters to fully finish the checking in of the passengers. As to the reason, I'm not quite sure why. And also, I opted to take the RT-PCR test even if it was not required in Thailand anymore, because I received an email from Cebu Pacific that it still is required by the airlines, though I was sure that my fellow passengers for that flight did not actually take the RT-PCR test because I did not see them present any result, or I was not even asked by the check-in staff to present my negative result for the RT-PCR test. But anyway, so I made it. I finished my check-in at past 2, and I had to enter finally the immigration for security, of course. And I was worried. I was carrying a food with me, which my friend asked me to bring just in case I feel hungry along the way or even before I board the flight. So I asked the security guard if I will be having issues with regards to that food being taken in, but he said that it's okay. So there, I went in for the queue for the immigration for the security, and I have to say it was not busy, given that that was at 2:30 a.m. or 2-ish in the morning. It wasn't really busy, and that was my first time traveling at that hour. So the counters were pretty much empty, and there were 2 immigration officers. They were ladies who actually were like calling me. One was waving her hand to me, the other was also waving her hand to me, so I was confused which officer to go to, but I went to the one that's right in front of me. So then she asked me what my job was, and I said I'm a teacher. I would usually say I'm an educator, but for most people they don't really understand that much what educator does, so I made it simple. I said I'm a teacher. So where are you teaching? I said it's mostly online and more like a freelance teaching. And then she asked me about my history because she saw my passport stamps that I have been to Bangkok back and forth, but it was from UAE, and obviously I was employed then. So she asked about my employment, and I mentioned that I already came back home last year from the UAE and have not been anywhere since then. So she started taking a long piece of paper, and she mentioned to me that I will be sent for interview. So I said, oh, okay, that's all right, but that's going to be my first time. I've never been interviewed by an immigration officer before prior to traveling. And she said, yes, it's okay, it's going to be quick. And so I went to that room and waited for an officer to interview me. This form, by the way, that I had to fill out includes my name, of course, the basic information about myself. Apart from that, the flight details as well, how long I'm staying in Thailand and what I'm doing there. And there's also a space there for me to add anything that I need to add. So firstly, my original flight to Thailand was 3rd of April, and I was coming back on the 30th of April. So that makes it, if I'm not mistaken, that makes it 28 days. But because it was moved to the 5th of April, so that's 26 days left, which for me is just enough to go around Thailand, because I have planned to go from Bangkok to Rayong It's a province close to Pattaya. And also, I was looking into going to Chiang Mai. I was even booking flights for Chiang Mai already, but I told to myself, I think I'll postpone it until the day I arrive in Bangkok. So that was actually one of the issues when I was asked by the immigration officer. So I only had one booking, that's the test and go 1 day scheme of the hotel, the Shop Plus Hotel, and she was asking me about my bookings for the other days. So I said unfortunately I had to cancel that accommodation for my first week in Bangkok because Cebu Pacific kept changing my flight, the flight details, the flight timings. So that's basically what she was asking from me. So I have showed her, because she asked me, I have showed her the cancellation or the past booking that I had to cancel it because they were going to charge me already on the 3rd when I haven't even left Philippines yet. So I was worried that I was going to be charged and that I won't be able to get my money back. But considering that the 1 week stay, that's 6 nights, is only 4,000 pesos. So it's rather a reasonable price. So I really wanted to go for that option. So that's basically what the immigration officer was looking for from me. Apart from that, so I've mentioned there that I was going to vlog I had a planned itinerary to vlog my vegan experience in Thailand, specifically those 3 places that I mentioned: Bangkok, Rayong, and Chiang Mai. So when I mentioned Chiang Mai as well, she was looking for the ticket. So I said I did not book the ticket because Cebu Pacific, like I said, I mentioned to her many times, Cebu Pacific kept changing the flight details, so I opted to just book everything else when I'm in Bangkok. So that was her main concern, because where will I be staying? Do I have a relative there? Because if I don't have any booking, again, where will I be staying? It's pandemic. Yes, I do understand her point. But knowing Bangkok and having done ample research as well, I know that there's plenty of places to stay there, and also they are also relatively cheap, affordable places. And even if I don't book ahead of time, I will always find one, because I've experienced that even before when I traveled to Thailand in 2019, where I traveled from Dubai to Bangkok to Yangon in Myanmar, and then I went back to Bangkok without any hotel booking. But then of course she wouldn't know that if she has not experienced such a thing. So when I realized that she was too concerned about the accommodation, I offered to do the booking right there and then, but she did not respond to me. And then she went on asking about my previous employment in the UAE. She asked about which agency did I apply with to go to the UAE. And I was honest, to be fair, I was honest with all my answers, and I said, I did not go through an agency when I went to the UAE. I was a tourist. Okay. So, but then I said, if that's an issue, you can check my record. I've been coming back and forth in the Philippines, paying my dues as an overseas Filipino worker. And then she went to a room, which I think has some sort of their system, the profiles, well, online system perhaps, where she checked my profile and could see everyone else's. When she came back, she asked me, oh, you also worked in Thailand? And I said yes, because I did. She asked again for an agency which I have worked with, which helped me go to Thailand for employment, and I said I was a tourist. So then she sat and said, okay, given your history, I cannot let you go. So I was actually ready for that, because I was so, part of me, I knew already that this thing happens to many Filipinos who are traveling abroad, regardless of their capacity to travel. I was ready. I've even showed my bank statements. I did not work for a year, but I did have my savings, and I had some, not that much, but at least a little bit of extra income, which helped me survive up this far. It's been a year since I've been unemployed, and since I came home from the UAE. But anyway, so that was the verdict. So she was ready to let me go. But I sat there. I was trying to keep my composure then, because of course it was so much of a hassle to have booked everything only to be denied to board the flight. So I asked her nicely, and to be fair, she's the nicest lady there, the nicest lady immigration officer, because I've heard how the others were interviewed. I wouldn't say interviewed, rather interrogated, but she was really nice with regards to asking questions and explaining to me why I would be, or why she wouldn't let me board the flight. So then I asked, are you telling me, or are you saying that because I don't have a specific company that I am in connection with? Because let's say, okay, I'm unemployed, but I opted not to say I'm self-employed, because that's another issue. I have not fully established my business, and there are still a lot of papers that I have to make sure are, of course, in place. So I'm not claiming my self-employed status at the moment. I'd rather say I'm unemployed. So given that I'm unemployed now, are you telling me that even if I had the capacity to travel, you will never let me go, or you will never let me leave the Philippines? That was exactly my question. And she said, okay, let me give you options. So she gave me, I will make sure to show you include the slip in this video, and she showed me two slips. One was divided into two because she was insisting that I go for sponsorship, but I said I don't have a relative in Thailand, so can I go with a Thai sponsor? She said no. So that was one option, go for sponsorship from a relative, and the other one was employment. So I said, why are you giving me this employment option when I already told you I don't intend to go for employment anywhere else? That is why I created my own online course. And if you'd like to know more about my online course, I'll link here the launch, so that you can also have a look at what I'm talking about.
Since she already made everything clear, she explained everything to me as regards to my options, the sponsored by relative option, the option for employment, and that one where your partner can sponsor you. I said, okay, thank you so much. And then she was ready to let me go. So she asked me to get back my boarding pass, where I even said that I forgot which counter it was. So she was the one who took the boarding pass for me. She gave it back. She gave me the instruction to go back to my check-in counter and claim my luggage. The instruction even was not clear, because when I went to that counter, they pointed me to another counter where the luggages are. And then when I thought it was taking so long, because I heard from another passenger who was denied to board that one can get a refund of the travel tax. So I went to that counter. But then the guy at the counter told me that I have to get an offload certificate from Cebu Pacific so that I can claim the refund. So that was already, I think, past 3 a.m. And while I was waiting for the luggage, and also I was on my way to, or before I even went to the counter of Cebu Pacific for my offload certificate, I did my managed booking of my flight because I went for a flexi flight in case of emergency. What I did was I canceled my return flight. My return flight, unfortunately, the fund that was given to me, so the whole flight was 7,400 something. So let's say 7,500. But the travel fund that was returned to me from the return flight was only 1,818 pesos. Imagine the difference. So there, I went to the counter asking the staff how I'm getting my offload certificate, and was told to wait. I think we waited for like 2 hours or more for that offload certificate, which we needed for the refund of the travel tax. But then I got that certificate, and also I have refunded my travel tax. So then I was ready to take my luggage. I was with the other passengers who were denied to board the flight. They were able to take their luggage back, but mine was not there. So I went back to the counter asking why is it that my luggage is taking so long to arrive at the ground, when in fact my fellow passengers have already taken their luggage. So then, one staff called me. His name was James, and he asked me if I was aware or if I did some sort of a managed booking in my account, which I did because I had to cancel my flight back. So he said that because of that, the system recorded that I have left Manila and my luggage is already in Bangkok. So imagine that was from 2 a.m. and I was talking to him at 7 a.m. and only a few minutes before, or only a few minutes left then, when the flight from Manila to Bangkok will be arriving. So I asked nicely, oh, can I please go home and have that luggage sent to me where I'm staying? And then he did, went to somewhere else in the counters again, checking, and he came back to me and told me that it's not possible, that I have to wait and I have to be the one to take the luggage, my luggage back. So I asked him nicely, where can I stay? Can you please let me know? Or perhaps you can offer a place where I can stay and charge my phone at least and eat some food. So he pointed me to the chapel, to the passenger holding area where I stayed the whole time, and he asked me to go back to him before 1:35 p.m., which is the expected time of arrival of that flight from Bangkok.
So to make matters worse, yes, my luggage went missing and went to Bangkok without me. So there I had to wait until 1 p.m. So I went back to James asking him, oh, I've been tracking the flight and it's on time, so I'm hoping it has already landed by then. He took the claim stub for my luggage and left and asked me to wait. I was waiting for him for half an hour and then he was gone. So I asked another ground staff, oh, I was talking to James. I'm waiting for my luggage, which was sent to Bangkok, because I was denied to board the flight. And someone else came back to me, a lady ground staff. Her name was Cams. So she escorted me to the arrival section. So we went through some rooms so that we can get there. So when I was finally there in the arrival area, another lady, another staff of Cebu Pacific talked to me. Her name was Queenie. And Cams left me with some food. She gave me some crackers and water. I was not able to eat the crackers because they're not vegan, but I opted to bring them home with me to my friend so that at least it won't go to waste. But there, Queenie was talking to me. She was telling me that we need to make a report, and I was like, why so? And she started explaining that she was spilling the beans that they did not find my luggage. And I reacted, what? I waited here for nothing? I waited for so long for nothing? And she said she was nice, and she said, yes, let's just make a report so that you can also go home and take some rest. That was already 2 p.m. So we made the report. She instructed me to go home and wait for the call. I waited for the call the following day. They wouldn't even call me if I did not call them. So she said they found a possible match and will send that same day. That was the 6th. But then again, I did not receive any, so I called them again the next afternoon. Again, no word from them until I sent them a message and I gave them a call. So that night, on the 7th of April, my luggage was delivered to me, and the guy who delivered mentioned that, oh, it's good that you were able to get your luggage right away because it usually takes 2 weeks. Imagine 2 weeks. And I saw a slip on my luggage that it's rush. So perhaps they rushed it. And anyway, it's back with me. And with regards to my refunds, it is fortunate that for my Shop Plus hotel, not bad, though not great because I was not able to get the full refund. I only got the refund for my RT-PCR test and the airport transfers. I have emailed Agoda on the 7th of April, and they were able to give me back the amount on the 8th of April, which was quick. Thai insurance as well. I emailed them, if I'm not mistaken, also on the 7th of April, but they did not respond immediately. However, as of 3 days ago, the processing of my refund is already in place. So I have to wait for 30 working days at least, or I think the most, to get my refund. Now, it's unfortunate that for my flight with Cebu Pacific, only getting, they mentioned to me, the live chat agent mentioned to me that I'm only getting 550 pesos, which is the unused tax. Imagine how much I have spent and how much I'm getting. And apart from that, well, I wouldn't mind getting that amount, but I did not experience a proper customer service from them. I was on a live chat. I was cut off in the middle of the live chat, and I have been asking for details, but the response was very rude. It was a terrible experience, I know, and I'm sharing this for you to learn from it. If you have experienced anything like it before, comment below and let us know how you dealt with it, for other people to see as well. Like this video so that it can reach more people, and let me know also your insights about this case of mine. If you have any idea as to how other people can travel better, if in case they're unemployed like me, or if in other cases are traveling the first time and the like. This has been my sentiment. I have experienced really good customer service abroad from other nationalities and from Filipinos abroad. But when it comes to customer service here in the Philippines, it's just the worst. Well, it might not be the case for all, but as per my experience, it happened most of the time, especially with what I have experienced with this customer service agent, Divine, of the live chat of Cebu Pacific. She did not handle my case properly. But the rest, I was even calm when I was at the airport and I waited for my luggage. Even if it was not actually there, they were not able to give it to me, because the ground staff of Cebu Pacific was really accommodating. Although James left me along the way, Cams was there, and also Queenie at least. So that's about it for my experience. I'm still on my adventure of finding vegan food and traveling on a budget, and I'm looking forward to another trip here in the Philippines. I came to a realization that if I would like, or if I am capable to travel abroad, why not travel in the Philippines and support local tourism, since everyone suffered during the pandemic, because of the pandemic. So I thought I would rather spend my money here in the Philippines and travel domestic. Watch out for my vlog of my travel in Davao City as vegan on a budget. I'll see you again next time. Stay safe. Bye.